next on Eyewitness News at 6.
I know you guys have a lot of questions.
Joe Paterno's coaching future is uncertain tonight. Many unanswered questions after his weekly press conference is canceled. Team coverage live from University Park coming up.
Several key races and referendums will be decided across our area tonight. Complete Election Day coverage is next.
Proud to cover 19 counties in northeast and central Pennsylvania. This is WBRE Eyewitness News at 6.
I know you guys have a lot of questions, and I was hoping I was going to be able to answer them today, but we'll try to do it as soon as we can.
Joe Paterno is facing questions about an uncertain future following a growing sex scandal at Penn State. And tonight, rumors are flying about the longtime head football coach.
Joe Pa's news conference was canceled today while reports ran wild about his future on the sidelines. Plus, another alleged victim came forward to report abuse. We have team coverage of this still unfolding story. Lead Eye team reporter Andy Mehalshick starts us off outside Paterno's house in State College with the very latest going on there. Andy, good evening.
Andrew, quite the scene. We're live outside Joe Paterno's house. What you're looking behind me is a student protest of support for Joe Paterno. Move out of the way, and Richard Charneski will zoom in here. We have about 300 students that you see supporting Joe Paterno. Again, rumors are flying all day today that Joe Paterno is trying to be forced out of Penn State. These students gathered a few moments ago. Now, there is some word among the student body that Joe Paterno may actually come here at 6:20 this afternoon and talk about the situation. His beloved students here at Penn State. Again, this rally in support of Joe Paterno. Now, as we come back live on camera, two new developments in the ongoing investigation. We're told this morning, I-Team has confirmed that a 9th alleged victim of Jerry Sandusky turned himself in this morning to State Police at Montoursville, saying that he has been watching reports in the media that he too was molested allegedly by Jerry Sandusky. And also late today, we understand that an emergency protection order was filed against Jerry Sandusky, apparently by family members keeping Sandusky away from his own grandchildren. Again, all of this in the midst of rumors that Joe Paterno is being leave Penn State. Joe Paterno leaves his home near Penn State as rumors spread that he is retiring or being forced out by the university.
I know you guys have a lot of questions, and I was hoping I was going to be able to answer them today, but we'll try to do it as soon as we can. Can't do it today. Dozens of reporters converge on Paterno's home just hours after his weekly news conference was abruptly canceled. We talked to his son, Scott, earlier about rumors of Paterno working on a deal to retire in the midst of this sex scandal investigation.
The university has not in any way, shape, or form indicated nor contacted us about any type of retirement agreement. That is all fiction at this point. Now, I can't speak to what's being discussed elsewhere. What I can tell you is at this point in time, there's been no discussions with the coach about retiring. There's been no discussions with the coach about stepping down. And as far as he is concerned, he will be coaching the team on Saturday, and he's looking forward to it.
Of course, all of this comes in the aftermath and the middle of charges filed against former defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky for allegedly sexually assaulting as many as 8 young boys over a 15-year period. And then perjury charges filed against 2 top PSU administrators, Tim Curley, the athletic director, and Gary Schultz, vice president for finance and business. They allegedly did not report the sex crimes they're aware of. And again, the rally support of Joe Paterno continues. Sports director Phil Schoener here. Phil, that news conference that was suddenly ended just minutes before it was supposed to start really stunned a lot of people.
Yeah, but let's talk about what's going on live right behind us right now. Of course, Scott Paterno is out. Sue Paterno stepped out, and they are thanking all the student supporters that are here. They came out to support the Paternos. Andy will run over and hear what Scott has to say. He came out earlier as the students started making their way over from campus, and he said, say a prayer for the Paterno family. And, of course, a lot of people are here, and more are coming over from main campus. And right now, Scott Paterno is making a statement. We are going to stay here a little bit longer and find out what he is saying. Rumors are out there that Coach Paterno has been asked to leave as the football coach here. Of course, he is a legend. This is what Penn State football was all about when he came here many, many years ago. Scott just came out and dressed the students that are here for the second time, and the numbers are going to grow. On Facebook, there is a message out there to gather at the Paterno house, and when we were here at 5 o'clock, as you saw earlier, it was just Andy, myself, myself and a few other reporters, and now all of a sudden the students are coming, and they are coming quite fast. Words are spreading around the campus that Joe Pa may have been fired. We saw Joe Pa here. He left for practice, and he came back about a half hour later, and then he left the house with Sue Paterno. So these rumors continue to swirl. We're here outside of Paterno's house. We're all over it. We were going to tell you the story earlier about the press conference, but that's moot at this point, so we're not even going there. Andy, I don't know if you caught what Coach Paterno's son just said to the students that are gathered.
Scott Paterno came out along with Mrs. Paterno, basically thanking the students for their support. Just again, keep them in their prayers, that they appreciate the turnout of support and love here from all these students, and that, but they would not say if indeed Joe Paterno would come out here tonight. But again, almost a surreal scene here, Phil, because, you know, Joe Paterno over the years has been he's been a famous, iconic figure here at Penn State and in college football sports per se. But he's not known to draw crowds around his house here. People stand off. Everyone knows where Joe Paterno lives. It's no secret. But nobody comes here. Today, again, it's a mob scene with hundreds of people, hundreds of students, reporters, because this could be the end of a legend in sports.
Something big is going on here tonight, and we are here live outside of Coach Paterno's house, and we will have it for you all night long. Joe Paterno is not in the house. We know that. Sue Paterno took him out of the house. We don't know where Joe is. Sue returned. Joe was not with him. So these students are waiting for Joe Paterno's return. And of course, reports are going on, and we were waiting to hear from Joe Paterno. He wanted to speak today when he was scheduled to at 12:30. The university said no, and that's when we came over to the Paterno house and talked to Scott. And as you heard, Andy talked to Joe when he left for practice. And again,
let's see who's coming in here.
Joe Paterno may be coming in right now, Andy, in this van. So we're going to step aside. You can take a look at the pictures.
Joe Paterno.
As Joe Paterno is coming in, and he is being mobbed by the student body. The word on the street that Joe Pa could have been fired by Penn State. He made Penn State football. He's the Hall of Famer. It was just 2 weeks ago when Joe Paterno set the all-time wins for any coach in Division I college football. Has Penn State fired a legend? There's students here cheering on Joe Pa as he's trying to get into his driveway and into his garage. I've never seen this.
Okay, Phil, I can tell you right now that is Joe Paterno in the vehicle coming back in. I'm going to go over and try and check it out. We're going to continue our coverage throughout the...
We're going to stay live at this point and see if it is Joe Paterno in that car. Andy's going to go over there, and the students are here. There was a Facebook message that was sent out across the Penn State campus. Over 60,000 students here, so you know that it spread pretty quickly. Joe Pa could be making a statement right now to the student body.
Hey, it's quiet time. Love you, Joe. Hey, shut up over there. We love you, Joe!
Joe Paterno giving a wave to the student body in thank of his support. Again, we're live outside of Joe Paterno's house. He was scheduled to talk to the media at his weekly press conference this afternoon at 12:30. He wanted to speak. The university said, Joe, we're not going to have you speak. And the students started to come about 5:30 to Joe Pa's house, the same house he's lived for over 40 years. And Joe Pa is trying to get into his driveway right now. His family is gathered. His son, Scott, came out twice to thank the student body, and he thanked them very much for their support. Andy Mehalshick is coming over now, and he may have heard what Joe Paterno had to say. Andy, any word on Joe?
Okay, well, I can tell you, Phil, quite the mob scene here. Joe Paterno is almost like a rock star here. He's in that crowd there. He thanked them for their support. He said something to the words of effect that I love you for it. Thank you very much. He did not talk about the investigation. Quite frankly, there's so many people here surrounding him, Phil, that again, I don't know if there was this much celebration at his 400th win last year, but he came in. He seemed very genuinely pleased to see all the people here supporting him. And he's walking slowly into his house, being guided in by Scott Paterno, his son, into the garage.
I think it's very important to point out, you know, a lot of these people come and give support to Joe Paterno, but the allegations of his former assistant coach for all these years, Jerry Sandusky, what are alleged sexual abuse is a terrible thing, obviously, and we got to remember that as well. A lot of people at home right now are saying Joe should have stepped down. We don't know what the situation is at this point, if he stepped down or was fired or still is the coach and will be coaching on Saturday against Nebraska. We just know that students have rallied around. There's a buzz around the community. We're sitting outside of Joe Paterno's house. But for everyone watching at home, we got to remember there's young people involved, and Jerry Sandusky, what's alleged happened, monster-like things there, and we got to keep that in mind. And I think that's the case of the Paterno family as well, keeping that in mind.
There is support, of course, for Joe Paterno, as you point well taken. Many media outlets, major newspapers around the country are calling for Joe Paterno to resign or to answer questions that even if he legally did the right thing by reporting to Tim Curley, who apparently did not report further, that did Joe Paterno do the morally wrong thing by not taking the extra step and saying, hey, what's happening here? So again, that's all going to come out in the legal investigation. But again, there still goes without saying that people still love Joe Paterno. Many still believe that he would never have anything to do with anything so nasty, or not turn his head.
Well, we are the only station right now in the area that has a crew here, and we do have another camera over with Joe. It looks like he may be trying to address the students that have gathered, because they, as we'll step away, have kind of gathered around, and the students are gathered by where he could possibly be in his garage. So we will have a camera crew that's right up there with Joe Pa, so we'll know what he's saying and bring that to you later. But for now, I think we'll send it back. Of course, a very big night, and this story will only continue to grow and get larger as the night goes on. We still don't know the status of Joe Paterno as far as the head football coach here at Penn State. And there's so many things going on with this sex scandal. It's certainly a fluent situation, and we're here, we're live at Joe Paterno's house, and we'll stay on top of it.
Well, much more time, of course, Eyewitness News, Andy 11, reporting live outside Joe Paterno's home in State College. For Phil Schoener, Andy Mehalshick, Eyewitness News, back to you.
Okay, what an incredible show of support by the student body at Penn State, many of whom had their cell phone cameras with them, recording what could be an historical event indeed. Stick with Eyewitness News for the very latest on the Penn State sex scandal. We'll also have updates on PAHomepage.com. And for more, you can like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter.
And be sure to stick with Eyewitness News for the latest on the election and the Penn State scandal. We'll be right back. Josh, thank you. Still ahead, we're going to have more from Happy Valley as the sex abuse scandal continues to unfold.
You're looking at a live picture in front of Joe Paterno's house where fans have gathered to show support. Joe Paterno just arrived home a moment ago. We'll have a live report coming up right after the break.
We have determined that today's press conference cannot be held and will not be rescheduled. We will not have any additional comment on this matter. Okay, thank you.
And that's how the day started in Happy Valley. PSU Sports Information Director Jeff Nelson announced that Joe Paterno's weekly press conference would not be held. Hi, everybody. Sports Live tonight outside of Joe Paterno's house in State College. And here is the very latest. It all started this afternoon. The university did not want Joe Paterno to go on with the press conference. He wanted to talk about the sex scandal that has rocked this university. The university said no, he wasn't given the opportunity to speak. So, of course, we came over to Joe Paterno's house, and Joe was on his way to practice, and we caught up with Coach Paterno. Here's what he had to say on his way to practice this afternoon outside of his house.
Look, I know you guys have a lot of questions, and I was hoping I was going to be able to answer them today. But we'll try to do it as soon as we can. We can't do it today.
Coach, the grandstand tell you that. So that's what Joe Paterno had to say before he went to practice. He went to practice and then returned home. And then he left the house again with Sue Paterno. And, of course, rumors were swirling that Joe Paterno was asked to leave by the university or fired. Of course, students started to come here around 5:30, and it swelled up, and a big crowd came as Joe Pa came back to his house about 5 or 10 minutes ago. His son, Scott, came out and said that Joe Paterno is still the coach at Penn State, and he'll be coaching Saturday against Nebraska. We will be here and have much more for you tonight. The student body is here to support the Paterno family, and we'll keep you up to date on the situation here in State College. Live outside of Joe Paterno's house, Phil Schoener, Eyewitness Sports. Back to Colin Riccabon for the rest of the night in sports. Colin?
Just an unbelievable scene out there at State College in front of Joe Paterno's house. Phil Schoener is out there, and sooner or later, you know Joe Pa is going to speak. And there's the video right there, just an unbelievable scene with all those students. He's got a lot of support. You have to remember, though, like Phil said and Andy said, there are victims in this situation. Right. But right now, Joe Paterno, again, receiving some support from the student body.
All right.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
We want to recap our top story, the sex scandal at Penn State and the future of Joe Paterno.
And our Andy Mehalshick is live outside Joe Pa's house in State College with the very latest. Andy?
Hey guys, again, quite the scene here at State College. You're seeing several hundred students rallying in support of Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno has once in a while stuck his face out the window to acknowledge their support, but the students are supporting Joe Paterno. Again, rumors are running rampant that he may be being forced out, possibly as early as tomorrow or the day after. Scott Paterno came out a few moments ago and said at this point in time his father is still the head coach of Penn State Nittany Lions. And all these students came here to support Joe Paterno. I'm going to call on sports director Phil Schoener. Phil, quite the scene, but again, your sources are saying that there's some rumor or some possibility it may have already been. If not, it could be imminent.
Well, things are swirling around campus, obviously, but as you see here now, the support. But Scott Paterno said that his father is still the coach and that Joe Paterno will release a statement tomorrow. So maybe we'll hear from Joe then.
It's very interesting. Mrs. Paterno was coming outside acknowledging the crowd, as was Scott Paterno. Joe Paterno was in the window. Again, when you think about this, could be the end in light of a very dark, scandalous investigation. We have to keep that in mind.
And that's the most important thing, to remember that you know, this scene might look something that it's not. We know, of course, the charges, and that's something very important that we know about, and that's what we got to keep in mind here, because there were, you know, victims, obviously, and that's the situation that the Paternos are sensitive of, and everyone here involved is certainly sensitive of.
Okay, Phil Schoener will be here throughout the night. Much more, of course, later on Eyewitness News at 11. For Phil Schoener, Andy Mehalshick live outside Joe Paterno's home in State College. Back to you guys.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for those live reports tonight, and thank you for watching Eyewitness News.
Have a great evening. Don't forget, watch your vote count here tonight at 11 o'clock on Eyewitness News. We'll see you back there then.
For Eyewitness News 24 hours a day, log on to PAHomepage.com. On air, online, and on the go, Eyewitness News is everywhere you are.